The 66th book that I read in 2024 is The Crucible by Arthur Miller. I don't think I need to report the plot to anybody of The Crucible. It's pretty famous, but of course it is about the Salem witch trials, and it is an allegory for the Red Scare, for the communism scare in America in the 1950s. I read this book about 25 years ago, did not like it at all. I now think I didn't get it. I felt like there was a one-to-one relationship between the book and what it was representing. And perhaps I didn't understand it back then. I think that's probably the case. Plus, the current political climate makes this book really, really relevant. Um, I think that there are witch hunts going on in the United States. As a teacher, some of the books that we're teaching now are because we had to get rid of some books that we taught even 30 years ago. And those books have become, for example, Toni Morrison has been stripped from our curriculum at the school that I teach at. And in 1997, we were teaching Toni Morrison. So we've gone backwards in that way. The Crucible seems to speak to that and seems to speak to the political divide in our country right at the moment. And so, got to really give it up for a book that 70 years after it was written is still highly, highly relevant. I mean, it was obviously relevant, and I don't want to say it's more relevant today than it was back then because the communist scare was such a big, big part of American history, but it is just as relevant as it was back then. It took 2 hours to read because I just went straight through it. I didn't like pause for any stage directions or things like that, obviously. I have to teach this book starting on Monday, and I am a little worried because I just see the end to this book as political, and I need to obviously stay away from that as a high school teacher. But I do think that there are a lot of other ends and other ways to get kids to see that this book is still relevant today. Wonderful read. So glad that I'm teaching it because I would have never read it again if I didn't have to teach it and prep it. So really, really glad that I get to do that. It ended up being something that I was not looking forward to, and it ended up being something that now I'm really looking forward to teach.